Hi, it's Anne. Thanks for stopping by. Guess what? I have a special guest today. My sister Karen is here with me. Karen, say hello.
Hello, 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 hello. I have two hands. Okay.
Do we look alike? Do you think we look alike? I think
Oh,
we
yes,
do. I
yes,
think we
yes.
do. My sister is here visiting from out of town this week, and oh my golly, we've been having a lot of fun. And of course, my sister knows me very well. And what did she bring me? She brought me some family treasures. She brought me handwritten recipes. Now, our mother, whom we still refer to as mother. Our parents are mother and daddy. We might refer to them as our mom and dad from time to time, but if we're talking specifically about them, they are mother and daddy. Our mother was a very good cook, and we have all of us in our personal all of us in the family in our personal collections have copies, these recipe cards handwritten in her dear handwriting. And we treasure them not only for the recipes, but for the stories behind them. And Karen has sort of all the family archives, and not only a lot of additional recipes in our mother's handwriting, but recipes from other people who were dear to us in the town where we grew up in Nebraska. So Karen, in wanting to clear out her own,
Yes.
her own personal files, said, "Oh, Anne, it's ephemera. Look, can you have this?" And oh my golly, we just sat and went through all of these. Here's a sheet cake from our cousin Alice May. And that brings back memories. And of course, Mother also very frequently, let me make sure I'm in camera here, very frequently wrote her little, this is delicious, these sour cream cupcakes. And there's just a lot of memories that are in all of these wonderful recipes. Where is the one that we were chuckling about? Oh, it's this one. We don't recognize the handwriting in this busy day cake, but we laughed. This was so typical of Midwestern homemakers at mid-century to have something. I mean, who would even think to have something called a busy day cake?
Exactly. If you're busy, are you baking a cake?
Well, apparently you are if you have this recipe, and it is very good. Busy day cake. We're very, very busy, but we have time to do all of these things. Broil it until it's brown and bubbly. Okay, busy day cake. Do I want to be having all of these recipes so that I can cook these things? I have to be honest, I really don't. But do I treasure them as keepsakes and storytelling prompts? Yes, I do. So anyway, during this week that Karen has been here, I've been thinking, how can I use some of these things in a junk journal? Because my feeling is, I bet that a lot of you out there also have handwritten recipes, treasured, spattered, distressed, smeared, just with a story of their own to tell. And we don't really do these a lot anymore. I don't. Do you, Karen? Do you write these things down?
I do not.
I don't. I do printouts from the internet, or I just call things up on my phone.
Okay.
So, here's a good one. Ranger cookies. Remember these?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Mother always was very good at making big batches of cookies to give to all of us, and would send to us when we were at college. And even your kids, when they went away to college,
yes.
they would get cookies from Grandma. And these Ranger cookies were ones that she had decided were all of our favorites. I'm not certain if they actually
We were more chocolate chip people.
We were more of a chocolate chip family, but she discovered this Ranger cookie recipe, and it was sweet. Anyway, here's what I would like to do, because if you have special family keepsakes like this and are wondering what to do with them, this might be an idea. My thought was that I wanted to make a journal that I'm going to complete later, because I really want to give a lot of thought to it. But I'm going to start on some of the tags now. My thought was to use some of these dear recipes and to put them in their entirety into a journal, but to couple them with some journaling space so I could write a little bit about the stories that they inspire. For like this one, this is a barbecue, some sort of, 3 pounds of brown hamburger that Mother, it's like we would have called them sloppy joes back in the day too. But this must have been something that Mother did for Daddy with the Saddle Club. So I wanted to sort of pair these things together, and I thought, why don't we do tags? Here's the first one I've made, and we're just going to do a few here together. And then I'm going to go off and complete the journal on my own. But here is a little tag you know, with journaling space on the back, and there's a pocket on the front. I can keep this this recipe that I will probably never make, a recipe for apricot tort. Not going to make it, but look who it's from. Personalized by one of Mother's friends, Mrs. Nordland.
And we all know.
We all know, we loved her. Dear, dear, dear lady. I did not know that in Mother's recipe archives, there was something from Mrs. Nordland. I was so delighted to run across this. And I don't, you know, I don't want to cut it up. I want to keep it just as it is, not to use it for the recipe, but to remember Mrs. Nordland. So I'm just going to put it in this little pocket. And then I'm going to put it in a journal and write my memories about Mrs. Nordland on the back. Will anybody care about this in the future? I don't know. My daughter might, perhaps. But I really want to record some of these things. And I'm so grateful to Karen for providing these. So let's just make a couple of tags while we're here. And then I'll go off and do, which one, Karen, which do you think? Should I use this one? This is the tag base. This is one that has a Nebraska map on it. And is our hometown in this one? No, our hometown is in this one.
I choose the one that has our town on it.
Would agree.
Also the Missouri River.
Also the Missouri River. Yes, exactly. So we're going to just make a little tag out of this. This is a map that is glued onto a piece of office folder. And I didn't get the corner glued down here very well, did I? There we go. So I'm going to make all of these different, and we're just going to do a few. And then we'll just think about where we want this to go. Would you like to should we put a napkin? Should we put a napkin on one of our pockets, Karen?
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah. Would you, Mother Loved Flowers, would you like to choose one out of there? Karen will make a fine selection for us, I'm sure. And, whoops, sorry about that.
Although Nebraska is not the sunflower state.
It is not the sunflower state.
That's Kansas.
We spent a lot of time in Kansas when you were in grad school.
So that is, that's the one I choose.
All right, that's good. I'm going to choose a little piece of dictionary page. And I'm going to make certain I'm in camera here. There we go. And I'm just going to do the process. Karen, you've seen me do this before, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
And I just put a little piece of tape on the back of
napkins that I would throw away, but anyway.
After you use them.
Exactly. My granddaughters used to play with leftover napkins with tea parties for the dolls.
Of course they did. Did you make their napkins out of fabric, or
No,
did you let them use the paper napkins?
They were the leftovers from birthday parties and things long after the children were grown up, and now the grandchildren are high school and college,
yes.
So I'm not doing that so much anymore.
All right, what I'm going to use, and you've seen me do this before, this is my water paintbrush, and I'm just going to kind of go around this portion of these sunflowers, and it's going to tear off very easily along that water line. Oh yeah, it does. And Karen is a chemist. She probably knows the chemistry of how these paper fibers are sticking together to begin with, but we won't ask her to give a class in chemistry unless you want to, Karen. Would you like to? You choose to not give us the chemistry class. That's probably okay. All right, we're just going to put, let's see. Yeah, we're just going to put this here, and I like to use a glue stick. Yeah, there's a lot of chemistry in adhesives too, aren't there?
Exactly. And that's going on your dictionary page.
And this
any letter, it doesn't matter.
I've got part of that backing was still sticking to that one. Yeah, I do usually make a quick scan to make certain that I don't have anything objectionable, because the dictionary has all words, and sometimes there's unsavory words that I don't wish to have in my junk journal. But this one appears to be okay. There we go. Yeah, that's going to be cute, Karen. we spend a lot of time going down to Kansas. And Kansas is, in fact, on this map, but we're going to be covering most of it up. So, but we'll know it's there. All right, I want to make certain I get it below our little hometown there. And cut this here. Is my knife over there, Karen? Yes. Would you mind handing that to me? We have had a lot of fun this week. We have done more than talk about old recipes.
Yes, we have. We've had a very nice time.
And there we go here.
But the talk about our hometown never ends.
It never does. You know, you would think it was the most fascinating place on earth, and to us it was. It was really such a great place to grow up. And I think junk journaling might have been popular in our little hometown back in the 50s and 60s. Don't you think, Karen?
Could have been.
It could have been because it... All right, now I got that too. There we go. I want it like that. And I think I left my other glue upstairs, so I'm going to use this. There we go. But I think it's really going to be fun to have a way to record. Let's see, south. Okay, south of Auburn. And I'm just going to pull this like this, and I'll have my little journaling space there on the back. Put a schmutz there. And which I'm going to, where's my scissors? Oh, right here. Yeah, here's my little card. And I'm going to turn this into a tag. And Karen, would you like to choose a recipe that you think would be nice in this particular tag?
All right.
You didn't know I was going to be pressing you into service today, did you?
No, this is hard.
It's not really hard.
Okay. I'm going to choose my piano teacher.
Oh. Well, do you know, if we're going to put your piano teacher in there, you know what we should add.
Oh, we're going to add music?
We're going to add music.
Well, do you want me to find a different recipe?
No. I'll tell you what, let's put some music along this part of the pocket. Shall we do that?
Oh, that part of it.
That's
okay.
right. That's right.
All right.
And we'll get some notes here.
Then that will inspire you to.
Now this looks like it's a lot of the same note over and over. Does that call to mind your piano lessons that you had to do the same notes over and over?
Well, yes, because I had to play them many times.
There we go. This is Beethoven's Something. And we're just going to glue that. Just a little bit of this. Oh yeah, that's going to be nice to have that music there. Yeah, I'm looking forward to putting this all together. I don't know what I'm going to do for the cover yet, but by the time this video ends, I will have determined that. There we go. I'll put that over the word grovel. We don't need to have the word grovel in there, do we?
Right.
Okay, there is a little bit. Shall we distress the edges, Karen?
Just like I was stressed when I went to piano lessons.
Just like when you went to piano lessons. You lasted a lot longer in piano lessons than I did.
I wasn't very good, but I did last a long time.
Karen, I lasted barely a year, and I think poor Mrs. Steinheider requested that my parents just keep me at home after that because I was so terrible. You were good, though. You at least practiced. I was terrible at that. All right, you want to put it in there, and there is the recipe from our dear piano teacher, who was a lovely, lovely woman and a fine musician. And then we will, at some point, I have my little signature over here, we'll be putting this in a pocket on here, and then the whole tag will come out. We'll read the back, and we'll have the recipe right there. Let's look at one other way that we can put recipes into our journals. And this is, again, the signature I will eventually, these are Franken pages that I'll be stitching in. Mother used to always send us, if when we were off at school or young and married or something like that, she would always pop recipes in the mail to us, right?
Oh, yes.
And I have this little pocket here that I made some weeks ago with these little faux envelopes. So I thought, why don't we use this just as a pocket by itself to put a recipe or two in, and then I'll put a journal card in with that to keep those stories together. But every family, the recipes just tell a story. They're a way that families got together, ways that love was expressed, ways that celebrations happened, and every single one of these recipes has some kind of story behind it. We don't always know what the stories are, but we can imagine, and we can remember the dear people that are associated with them. What about this one, Karen? Do we want to keep that one?
You're going to put more than one in
I
here?
can put a couple in here. Yeah, I think it can handle it.
Okay, I think maybe one from our mother and one from another person.
This is a famous teacher, the third grade teacher, not of me, but of my three siblings. They had her. Didn't she have lovely handwriting? Her toffee nut bars. And then Mother's sour cream cupcakes. Delicious.
There we go.
And this will go in with a tag that'll go behind it that I'll write about those things a little bit more. But I like having these envelopes with the little hearts.
To share recipes.
To share recipes. Anyway, we're going to get on with this project, and I will be back in just a moment, and we'll show you how it all turned out. Okay, it is now several days later. Karen is happily back at home in Ohio. We had a wonderful, wonderful week together and did so many fun things. And I have continued working on this project today, and I've spent most of the day on it, and I just love it. It's not completely done yet. Of course, it won't be done until I've written all my stories in it, but I just love this idea of taking old recipes and saving them for the stories that they represent to me. So I think this is going to be a really fun, really personal journal, and I'm really looking forward to picking up my pen and writing in it. But let's look and see where it stands right now. I have a few more things I want to glue in, and we can do that together. The majority of the elements that are in this journal now are things that I've made with us together. There's some of the tags that Karen and I made together are in here. And there's other things that you have seen me make over recent months. So let's just have a little bit of a flip through, and we'll glue down a few things that are that need gluing down. I'm sure I'm going to be continuing to embellish. I have a whole bunch of these fun, fussy cut little mid-century Jello salads and desserts and things like that I think are really going to be fun to embellish as I continue to work through this. It needs a tie, believe me, because it is nice and fat. But I just called it Food and Memories because that's what this is. It's not a recipe journal; it's a recipe memory journal, if that makes sense. I actually used some of the recipes here as actual pockets. And there's one of our other sister's recipes here with her a vegetable dip. I don't know what year that was from, but It was probably in the 70s. And somebody, I don't remember Mother ever making Nebraska cookies, but she had a recipe that somebody had apparently given her called Nebraska cookies. What makes them Nebraska cookies? I don't know. They have oatmeal in them, so maybe that's it. I have most of the elements in place here except for the recipes themselves, with the exception of these, of course, because they're glued in. So I thought, why don't I just sort of, I'm here at the top. I'm just going to kind of tuck a few recipes, and then this is going to be too tall here. I'll find something that's folded to put in here. This is a card that you have seen before, but it's sort of food oriented, and I thought this could tuck in here, and maybe I could put in maybe a casserole or something. Let's put in spinach casserole. This is delicious. One of Mother's, occasionally people would give her as gifts these little personalized recipe cards, and she liked that if she was giving people recipes. So we'll tuck that in here, and I'll write something about those casseroles. I had a couple of old cookbooks that I just put some illustrations in. This, you saw Karen and I do this one. We put a couple of recipes in this pocket already, but I loved this little card with the little thing on it. Just, it's good to share, and Mother was very generous in sharing her recipes. This, of course, grateful. There's a lot that I'm grateful for as I'm thinking about things I'm putting into this journal. So I'm putting a couple of these little food-oriented tags in there. And, I love this recipe for coffee bars. This is actually a recipe I might actually use again. So I'm going to tuck the coffee bars in there because I have a lot of good memories about coffee, a lot of carb-filled memories and thoughts about the coffee bars. I used a lot, or not a lot, but several pages from this really special keepsake that I have. This is an old blank address book, and Mother used this as a journal back in the day, like back from the early mid to early 60s, all the way through the mid 80s, and she wrote down, whenever she had people over for dinner, she wrote down what the menu was, what she cooked, and who was there. And I remember asking her one time, why do you keep track? Why do you write down everything that you, when we have company? And she said, so I don't serve people the same thing twice. Honestly, her cooking was so good, she could have absolutely served the same thing twice. But it's really fun for me to go back and look at these. And this was one of the things that after she passed away, I definitely went back and kept this out of her things, and I'm really glad I did. And I don't mind putting a few pages into this journal because that's what this journal is for. If there was pages I really didn't want to glue down, I could scan them, but this is from Thanksgiving dinner in 1981. And I apparently was not there at that dinner because I would have been just weeks away from delivering my daughter at that time. So let me put, I want every spot to have a little bit of journaling space, and I can journal on the back of this. So we'll put a couple of things for the Thanksgiving memories in here. And it feels like that's going to pop up. And maybe if I turn this a little bit, that'll go. Okay, you saw me make this card the other day. This was with the recipe from dear Mrs. Nordland, who was a special friend of our mother's and a special friend to me. She and I always had a mutual admiration society. I remember just so many things about Mrs. Nordland, and I'm going to be happy to record some of those on that journal space. I like the fact that I used a lot of junk mail in the creation of these pages because that's something we would have done in our small town. We wasted very little, and I think that if junk journals had been popular then, they would have been they would have been very popular in our little town in Nebraska. Here is that one that Karen and I were chuckling about, the busy day cake. Very busy, very, very busy. This is not Mother's recipe, but, well, it was Mother's recipe, but it wasn't her handwriting. Somebody had given this to her. But I'm gonna slip this in this because I've got journaling space on the back and a little pocket on the front. This is a fun pocket design that I did probably a year and a half ago. That was one of Rachel's weekly challenges, and that was when I very first started my YouTube channel. But the busy day cake I think is nice in this pocket, and I'm gonna put it in here because I like this illustration of a busy farmer there, probably gonna come in from the field, and perhaps his partner has cooked a busy day cake there. I'm gonna put some blank pages there. Maybe I can put, maybe I'll put this, we made this this pocket together during our episode on standard go-to pockets. This is the Peter Pan collar. It was just big enough for me to put one of these thick tags in. So I'm going to put this here. I went over it, did a little stenciling just to kind of jazz it up a little bit. But since this is sort of has a mid-century flair to it, I thought that would be nice in this journal. This is another one of the Roxy's Creations, Rachel from Roxy's Creations, one of these. Isn't that a cute style for that, for this tag? It's just sort of a standard tag with a pocket here on the side where this strip folds up and folds over and makes the little tab. So, and I like having that journal space on the back. What shall I put in here? Do you know what I might put in here? This is one that I had a recipe for cornbread that I think was in one of my 4-H magazines. And I had made it at home. I cooked very little at home when I was a kid because Mother was such a good cook that I think there was really no need for us to. I wish I had cooked more and learned more at her side, but you know, it was more usually a case of, you know, we would cook to fulfill the requirements we needed for 4-H, and Mother was in charge of the rest of the cooking. We were pretty traditional that way. Anyway, this is 10-year-old Anne's handwriting, maybe 11, and I recognize the ink because Mother had a very special ink pen that she used, and occasionally I could borrow it. But I recognize my handwriting from that time. She had kept it, my copy from the 4-H magazine, and this was part of the family archives, although she did do a little bit of addition, a little bit of correcting, and a little bit of additional instruction. I love that, and I'm going to put that in here. And I'm going to write about that on the back, not about the cornbread, but just the experience of learning to cook in 4-H and having fun with that. And what do we have here? Here's more from that log. This particular log notes that on November 5th, 1965, apparently my parents had some friends over after the football game. Small town Nebraska. Everybody went to the football game, and she served baked corned beef, cheese, and Braunschweiger sandwiches with pickles and coffee. But I thought I'd do a little game day illustration on this and sort of write about that practice. This is one I made some time ago. And what should I put to go in there? I do not have the Braunschweiger, casserole there. Chocolate pecan sheet cake. That's from my cousin Alice May. I know Mother served this a lot when friends were over, and it doesn't appear to be on the menu from that day in 1965, but it would have been a little game day sort of thing. So I'm going to tuck that in there as something that inspires some memories. Here is the tag that Karen and I made together with the Kansas sunflower and the recipe from the family friend and piano teacher, Mrs. Steinheider. Our parents were good friends with the Steinheiders, and they were often over. how Mrs. Steinheider managed to avoid telling my talking about me and my poor quality piano lessons. I don't know, but I'm sure she was very professional about the whole thing. And she remained a good friend, even though I was certainly not one of her star students. This was a tag from my stash, but I included this because it had the geranium on it, and my mother loved geraniums. Loved geraniums. So what recipe should I? Oh, do you know what? She loved these thumbprint cookies. This was a big favorite. I'm going to put thumbprint cookies in here, and I'll journal a little bit about that. Here is I've made both of these in recent episodes. And what about cheese and dried beef casserole? That is a very Midwestern sounding sort of thing, isn't it? Not something I'm likely to make. But we had a lot of stuff like this. It just sounds way too salty. In fact, I'm feeling thirsty looking at it because it has cream and mushroom soup and everything in it. But it was part of our culture growing up, and I'm going to tuck that in and remember a few things about those sorts of recipes. It's been a while since I've made this particular pocket. That's with our faux vellum, but I loved this little envelope that I tucked in it, and I thought I could journal on the back and tuck some kind of a recipe in there. How about pineapple upside down cake? That's Mother's. So we'll put that in there, and that will be sort of a nice little surprise. Just like the upside down pineapple is kind of a surprise when you flip it out of the pan. A few more blank pages. This I put in here just because it had sort of a mid-century look to it. And apples. Do I have any kind of an apple recipe? I realize I'm off camera here, but quick apple tort. That can go in here. Look at how Mother wrote quick. The cursive quick I don't think anybody does this anymore, but it used to be the cursive capital Q looked like a 2. I never understood that. Did you learn cursive that way with a Q looking like that? I would never make it that way, but Mother, former school teacher, she was very precise. She would have enjoyed doing her cursive the classic way. This was, you saw me do this one just last week. This is one of our whimsical coffee cups, and I can journal on the back of this card. But the cup itself was a little pocket, but it was too small to fit any of these in. And so there was a couple of things in the stack Karen brought me these were little recipes that would have been hanging in the grocery store, and you tear them off, and they're there by the spices and all that. So I could fold this up more. And this is from the local store, Hinky Dinky. Yes, we had a Hinky Dinky in our small town in Nebraska. And so I'm just going to tuck that in there as a reminder of going to Hinky Dinky. And a few more recipes in the back. So there's more I'm going to be doing, with this. I certainly have not used all of the recipes that Karen gave me. I do want to save this glazed peach pie. I'll put some more fold up things in these that are these pockets that are closer to the top. But in the meantime, I'm going to tie this up and just be really, really happy about the wonderful visit that I just had from my sister Karen. And how even our siblings that were not here this week celebrated with us from afar because they were so happy that we were together. And their memories are going to be part of this journal as well. So I hope you enjoyed this little trip down memory lane with me. And if you have old handwritten recipes, I really encourage you to find a way to use them. If not for the recipes themselves, certainly for the stories that they inspire, that may or may not have anything to do with food. They can just have to do with you know, if they're your family recipes, you know, there's all kinds of childhood memories that they can inspire. If there are other recipes, maybe you found them at an estate sale or something like that, they're going to remind you of something that's going to serve as some sort of a prompt. So anyway, I hope you have fun with your own recipes, and I leave you with looking at these, and I thank you very much for joining me. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.